Welcome to our March 8th, 2022, Tuesday, 2 o'clock consent agenda. Let the record reflect that all three commissioners are present. We have our executive management team. I see we are joined by Larry Crowder and Matt Zarakor. We have Roy Kogan in the conference room with us, and I believe our executive management team is on, and I think Scott Simmons will be joining us here in the conference room as well. So with that, we are going to have a separate presentation for item number 3E today, and then item number 5A is a public hearing. So we'll have a public hearing at the end. But with that, and Mr. Crowder, thank you for joining us. And I believe you would like to do a presentation on item number 3E, which is in the matter of authorizing the Spokane Airport Board to sell property identified as a portion of Spokane County Assessor's parcel number 25285.9011.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good afternoon, council members. I'm sorry, commissioners, get my meetings mixed up. I'm coming before you today to request your approval of a joint resolution from the Airport Board for the sale of surplus property that the chair has described. And if I may have the next slide, please. This is the location slide to show you where the property sits. Right now, it's bounded by West Airport Drive, roughly on the south, Spotted Road on the west, and then we show a future interchange that is to be constructed if funding becomes available that would relocate Spotted Road outside of the runway protection zone. So that's the new roadway that you see that bounds the property to the east. You can see the property is divided by what we call Tech Park Drive into roughly two sections. One is 5.262 acres and the other is 14.165 acres for the total of 20.441. We have pointed out that there is a short-term land lease on the corner of West Tech Park Drive and Spotted Road that you see called out there that is currently leased to the city of Spokane for a fire station. And that lease would be assumed by the property owner once the sale is completed. And the property owner has already offered a 3-year lease to the city of Spokane for that site to maintain the fire station at that location, at least for the first 2 to 3 years. Next slide, please. Again, the purchase price was arrived at through an appraisal that established fair market value of $2.14 per square foot. And the total sale would render $1,905,477.30 to the Airport Board. And as I always like to indicate in these presentations, those funds would go towards capital projects here at Spokane International Airport. There will be a deed restriction on the property to prohibit the use of land for commercial vehicle parking. I mentioned the lease with the city of Spokane for the fire station, and then we'll have an navigation easement recorded over the property. Next slide, please. This is just the details around the timing that we received the letter of intent back in May of 2021, and then the process that we went through. There is a requirement to release the land from Surplus Property Act restrictions by the FAA, and that is currently underway right now. And we expect that to be finished within a matter of weeks. And then earnest money has been already put down. The buyer has met with us today and indicated their intention to move forward with the sale and not to exercise any rights of termination. And there was no broker involved in the transaction. Next slide, please. So what we're asking the Board of County Commissioners to do today is to authorize the joint resolution to approve the sale of land. We are also scheduled at City Council next Monday for approval of the joint resolution. I'm happy to answer any questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Crowder? I know Commissioner French, you actually sit on the Airport Board.
Yeah, no, this is a continuation of the efforts of Mr. Crowder to dispose of surplus property to the airport. We do have now a master plan for the airport that includes the second parallel runway and other amenities and stuff. And then property that's surplus to that is available to go back to the private sector for economic development. And as you've seen in the West Plains, we've seen significant development around the airport as Mr. Crowder has negotiated these sales. So the board fully supports it. And the airport board fully supported it. And I would ask that my fellow commissioners do the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much for the presentation. So with that, I don't have any questions. I know, several people on the airport board, and I know you, Mr. Crowder, that I mean, this has already been through a lot of people before it comes to us. So I think it's a great thing for us to have and to move forward on and help you with. So with that, I will then look to my fellow commissioners for a motion.
So, Madam Chair, I would move that we approve items 1, 2, 3, and 4, and all the sub items appearing thereunder in today's agenda.
I will second the motion.
Okay, thank you very much. I have a motion and a second for items number 1, 2, 3, 4, and all sub items on today's agenda. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much, Mr. Crowder, for presenting today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And again, thank you for the great teamwork that we have with the commissioners. And this was really a good opportunity for us to continue to dispose of surplus property and to raise funds to continue capital improvements at the airport. So we're very appreciative of your support.
Thank you very much, and you have a great day.
Good, thank you.
Okay, so with that then, we have item number 5A, which is a public hearing in the matter of road name change from Barker Road to Rodeo Drive, County Engineers Road File number 300. I believe that there should be some more numbers there, Matt, correct?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. Ron, do you have our slideshow?
And do you have the complete file number on that?
I don't have it in front of me, Commissioner.
Do we, I just want to make sure for the record, because I think the O was just a placeholder, not. It is O. It is O, that isn't a placeholder.
Yeah, we do have lettered road names, so that's not unlikely. This is an older road.
Okay, so then this is file number 300, quote, O, unquote. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, thank you, Commissioners. Matt Zarakor, Spokane County Public Works, here today to talk about the road name change from Barker to Rodeo Drive, item 5A on your agenda. Next slide, please. So first, just to get everybody oriented, Barker Road, I think most people are familiar with. It's in the South Valley, the portion we're interested in today. And you can see on the map on the right, it's kind of an L-shaped portion of Barker Road. This portion's an old farm to market road. And as you can see, it's an arterial for us, and it has these two 90-degree turns that have been there. They're historic turns. So something we had always wanted to get rid of, and the opportunity presented itself when the longtime ranching family of the Morrisons elected to subdivide a portion of their property. So that's the portion we're talking about, that portion in red, and we're looking at taking the current name of Barker Road and changing it to Rodeo Drive. Next slide, please. So this map in the middle there, you can see the new lots created east of Barker and north of 32nd, and those are the Morrison plat. And one of the conditions of that subdivision was to realign Barker Road and create the new arterial section. This new section is built to our arterial standards, and you can see the large radius curve at the south end where it bends west and ties into 32nd Avenue. This road work was completed last summer, And it's necessitating the need to change the road name because currently we have two sections that are called Barker Road, and that's going to be confusing for emergency services. So to facilitate that process, Public Works reached out to Spokane Regional Emergency Communication and came up with two road names that met the extensive naming criteria for new roads in the county. After that, we reached out to the folks that were affected by this because we know what an inconvenience it is for people to have their addresses changed. But unfortunately, it was fairly unavoidable because we have this new bright shiny arterial alignment that extends south. And that's the logical extension of Barker, and this other portion that's going to be very low volume, just local traffic in essence now, is going to be a local access road kind of being downgraded. And it needed to be renamed just to avoid confusion. So Public Works mailed out a letter late last year to the 23 affected owners, soliciting just kind of their comments and also asking them to vote on the two names that we'd come up with. We received a fair amount of public comment regarding those. There was a lot of support for something that kind of honored the cattle ranching history of the area. And when we got the votes back and tallied them up, the majority of them were for naming it Rodeo Drive. As a result, Public Works is recommending renaming this portion of Barker Road to Rodeo Drive. And with that, I would turn it back to you, Madam Chair, for any questions or any public comment.
Are there any questions or comments that you have for Matt? Seeing none, then I will look to the public hearing. So with that, I will open the public hearing on item number 5A in the matter of road name change Barker Road to Rodeo Drive, County Engineers Road File number 300, letter O. If you would like to provide testimony, please raise your hand on Zoom, or you can press *9 if you're on the phone. So I will now open the public testimony. First call for anyone wishing to testify. Second call for anyone wishing to testify. Again, please indicate by your raise hand function on Zoom or press *9. Seeing none. Third and final call for anyone wishing to testify. I will now close the public hearing and look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I would move that we accept the recommendation of the county road engineer in the matter of road name change from Barker Road to Rodeo Drive, County Engineers Road File number 300O.
I will second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you very much. Okay, that will conclude our 2 o'clock consent agenda. We do have some additional items. I will sign papers, and I think these will get routed around to the rest of our commissioners. But that will bring us to Brian Coven. You are on our agenda for today to give us a bond update.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, members of the board, Mr. Simmons. There are 2 different bond issues the county is considering. The first and most pressing one is the Spokane bonds for the Spokane International Airport to improve their terminal. I had an email from their general counsel last week asking me when we could have draft bond documents available to them. I'm recommending to the board that one of my partners, Michael Thomas, get appointed to do that bond issue for the county. As the board knows, I'm officially retiring at the end of March, and the bond issue is going to go beyond that. QTEC's airport practice is ranked #1 in the country, and Michael currently has represents people like San Diego, Orange County, LAX, San Francisco, Portland, Everett, Salt Lake, Kansas City, LaGuardia, Chicago, Minneapolis. His practice is ranked #1 in the country. So it's a unique project for the airport because they have no outstanding debt. So we're able to create a document that would permit the airport to do anything we can think about right now in the future, because this is like the Constitution. It sets the rules for future bond issues. So I'm currently working on that document. We should have it available sometime within the next couple of weeks. And then Michael Thomas will take over and marshal that project through. I'm recommending that the Spokane, so the way airport bonds are authorized, there has to be a joint resolution in the city and the county and the airport board. That's for the county to proceed. Once that's adopted, the county normally acts last on that joint resolution. And the county proceeds to issue the bonds. We recommended that the airport have its own financial advisor who specializes in airports. And I know they've been talking to a gentleman at PFM who's an airport person. And the reason that's important is they can talk to the rating agencies and they know how to talk to them about airports. So we would ask the board to defer to the airport for the selection of that person. We know who it is. He's the same person that worked with us on Salt Lake. And Salt Lake was very similar in 2014 to Spokane County in the sense that had no outstanding debt. So the people at PFM are familiar with what we're looking at. And we also think it's important to have an underwriter that understands airports, because it really is a specialty practice, and it would be in the airports and the county's best interest to have somebody that really understands that, can communicate with the rating agencies, and have a municipal advisor that knows how to deal with that kind of underwriting. So I think that's getting, I think those people are under consideration. I don't know if they've been retained yet, but so that's number one, is because my contract, QTech Rock's contract by its terms terminates automatically when I leave the firm, which is at 5 p.m. on March 31st. So Michael Thomas will do a very good job, and I'll get the first draft of those documents done. The second one is also pressing. It's the small arms range. And for that, I've been having conversations with Mr. Petrovich and Gary, you're on, I see. And there are two firms. Well, in terms of Washington bond practice, the only person at QTech has issued opinions and worked in Washington the last 3 years is myself. And then we had Mary Edwards, of course, too. Mary retired. I am retiring. So the two other bond firms I would consider are the Pacifica Law Group, which is a group that formed, maybe 10 years ago. They broke off from K.O. Gates, and now they have about 40 lawyers, and they are a top-notch law firm. And the other one is Orrick, Harrington, Sutcliffe. They were formed, and I wasn't around when they were formed, the same year Abraham Lincoln was president. And they've been consistently ranked as the #1 bond firm in the country. But the reason for that is they represent the state of California, which is the 7th largest economy in the world. So nobody's going to be that firm in terms of dollar volume. So in talking to Gary, we thought it was appropriate to set up some sort of interview process. So Gary could probably be the point person with that firm, develop a comfort level, and make a recommendation to the board. Gary, is that fair?
Yes, that's what we discussed, Roy, and because of the importance of bond counsel to the county, I think it's appropriate to vet and screen the bond counsels as best as we can. And then in this particular case with the small arms range, it's we can do maybe an appointment for just this issuance and sort of try them out. And then if we're happy with their performance on the small arms range bond, then we can consider a longer appointment and relationship.
You know, and I've been humbled to represent the county now for 44 years. Longer than some people here have been alive. So this is an important appointment. And having the right legal talent and the right talent to communicate timely and effectively, I think is important. So that would be the second item.
Okay. And so with those two firms, one firm, Pacifica, is out of Seattle area, so they're headquartered in Washington State.
Pacifica has, yes, they have one office, it's in Seattle.
Okay.
And Oric has an office in Seattle. And at one time, Kogan Edwards had our offices inside those offices. With good Seattle people, and they have an office in Portland with more people. Oric's founding office is in San Francisco. And it's a firm that does not suffer from a small ego. Their office space is in the Oric building, which is brand new office space south of Market. But they're both very talented firms. I think that's the other thing that I've learned throughout my practice is life has gotten more complicated. And it's, as a bond lawyer, it's been important to me to have access to the tax department. Both firms have, Oric has a big tax department. Pacifica has a really good tax lawyer. So I think you'd be well served by either of those. And I think it's important to have a comfort to be able to ask the right questions. And making sure that they understand what the county is doing, making sure that the responses are timely. And of course, if you decide to select either of those firms, we will assist any way we can in a good transition.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Any comments from my fellow commissioners? Commissioner French?
Madam Chair, I want to start out by saying I've known Roy for, I think, longer than either one of us want to admit, and I've enjoyed working with him immensely. I have come to not only rely on his recommendations, but look to him for advice and counsel in so many areas, not only as it relates to bonds for the council or for the county, but also other items and stuff. So I just want to say thank you, Roy, for all of your years of service to the county and to the taxpayers of Spokane. You've served us well, and hopefully you'll enjoy your retirement as much as you've enjoyed your work for the county. So with that, is Pacifica a firm that you would say is at the top of your list, the middle of your list, barely made the list? What would be your recommendation as it relates to maybe some other bond counsel firms that are out there?
Thank you, Commissioner. If what would be important to me is to have a firm that has experience and depth. Pacifica has that, Oric has that. The other bond firm in the state is Foster Garvey. And Foster Garvey is bond counsel to the Spokane PFD, which would create a positional conflict with the county's relationship with the PFD. And that's why, even though it's a top-notch law firm, I left that off my list. So the two other firms in the state really are Pacifica and Oric. You know, Hillis Clark has a small bond practice. You know, they do mainly authority work and 501c3 work. But the general practice bond firms that I would suggest the county consider are Oric and Pacifica.
Thank you. Commissioner Kearns, I see you unmuted or you came off video. So did you want to say something?
No, I don't have anything to add.
I guess, yeah, 44 years is a long time. So thank you very much for, you know, like Commissioner French said, serving the county well and serving us as commissioners well, and keeping us informed and aware and out of trouble, all those things, and making sure, as I think we've all seen those bond documents that are like this thick, or you've done it well for us for, you know, 44 years. So thank you very much.
No, I'm really humbled by all your comments. Thank you very much. It's really been an honor.
So, and we just hope you can actually go and enjoy and not work too hard.
Oh, you know me.
Yes.
It's been a great rewarding relationship. And, you know, my first bond issue with the county was in this part of the building. It used to be the commissioner's meeting room.
Wow.
So no, it's really been humbling. And, you know, I'm not leaving. So if from time to time the commissioners have questions, I would be happy to.
Scott, you or
Okay.
Mark, I see you have your hand raised.
Thank you very much, commissioners. I just wanted to remind you, we learned that Roy was retiring and we reached out, and Roy has clearly been someone who across the state has been the person who most folks have gone to for bond counsel. Of course, in the setting, anytime we get an attorney who's going to be doing work for the county, the appointment is Mr. Haskell's appointment as it starts with. And so I want to figure out how best to navigate that here, because I think a bond counsel representation with the board is also a very close relationship, as Roy's pointed out. And of course, as Gary mentioned, Roy and I had a bit of a conversation earlier today about a process of how we might move this forward. I didn't think we were going to talk about much of that here, but I didn't know if you wanted Mr. Simmons involved in that process. I certainly would like Gary involved in that process, and I thought perhaps it'd be Gary and I and me and Roy, frankly, or Scott moving forward to try to see who might best to fill that spot.
Any comments, Scott?
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to be involved with that. I don't have the years of experience working with Roy as many of you do, but I know he served the county well for many of these years. It'll be a very difficult replacement. And we've got 2 bond issues that are coming up, as Roy mentioned. And so timing is pretty key here with getting someone selected. When Roy and I and Gary met, we kind of talked through the small arms range bond, and Roy had some really good insights for us to contemplate. And certainly with the interest rate environment, we probably want to look at kicking it off sooner than later. Roy had a couple of ideas on multiple series of bonds, because there's likely a tax exempt and a non-tax exempt aspect of the bond issuance. And so I would like to see us kick something off soon, so that we could start taking advantage of the moving forward with the small arms range. I think too, with QTAC's experience with the airport, I can only imagine what it'd be like to try to teach someone all the nuances of an airport operations and their uniqueness of it. So leveraging someone who has really good depth and expertise in there, I think makes sense. And I think what Gary had mentioned as well is even if the board so chooses, and with Larry's support as well, taking a test run with one of these firms on the small arms range, just to see how it's working for the board and how that process looks, and your all comfort with that moving forward. So
I guess that was part of my, because I heard Michael and then was it Tomlis? I forgot the last name, Roy.
Thomas.
Oh, just Thomas?
Yeah, Michael Thomas.
And I thought that was who we'd be looking for more than likely in the short run, and then perhaps something more moving forward. Is that, do I have that right?
I think Michael Thomas would be engaged only for the airport.
Okay,
That's all he does.
all right.
And I did ask him if he had the ability to do the small arms range, and he said no.
Okay.
It's just outside his area of expertise. And, I think a good strength of a lawyer is understanding, at least for myself, understanding what I don't know, what I can't do is almost more important than understanding what I can do. So you do want somebody with that particular expertise. As Mr. Simmons stated at the airport, the small arms range bond issue will be one bond issue, but a Series A and Series B, because the part being allocated to the United States Air Force, those lease payments are considered a governmental guarantee under tax law. And if it's guaranteed by the government, they're taxable.
Mark, does that clarify for you?
It does. I guess maybe what I'll do is I'll circle back with Gary, with Gary and figure out how best to get the next person on board sooner. Because I think those conversations, as you've all mentioned, need to get going sooner rather than later.
Well, the other thing that's going on is rates are climbing more steeply than people had anticipated. We saw bonds for Gonzaga this morning. And in the last week, interest rates have climbed 15 basis points. Overnight, they climbed 3. So
Yeah.
we did lock it in this morning, but it's getting more expensive.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Mark. So we will let you guys work through making a recommendation. But Mark, if I understand right, then Larry Haspel is the one who actually makes the decision, or in consultation with us, or just how does that?
Technically speaking, all the attorneys are hired by the elected prosecutor, but obviously this is not the kind of thing where you're looking to stick someone in the eye with someone they don't want. This is the idea of let's get the right person on board for who you need. So this will be a collaborative process for sure.
Very good. Thank you very much. We look forward to that then. Any other thoughts or comments? Seeing none. Thank you very much, Roy. Really appreciate it. And wish you all the best in retirement.
Oh, I'm not going. I'm like an old man.
I didn't think so.
I kind of joke with the commissioners. I've been around so long, you can't fire me. You lose all your credibility for keeping around so long.
I love it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for everything, Roy.
Thank you, sir.
Got like music going on outside. to serenade you on your way out.
I promise not to sing,
It's a band we got you.
but Brenda can sing.
Okay, thank you. So let's see. So there was one item, and I apologize because Scott and I did not coordinate that. I think he got the agenda for the Shrills meeting to you just right before this meeting. So it should be in your inbox. I don't have it pulled up myself, but if we want to approve it, if head nods, doesn't matter to me. Just Kathleen requested, so I just want to make sure that the request is made for her so she can put it out.
Yeah, I looked over it. It looks fine, but again, like I said yesterday, since it's not a meeting called by the commissioners, it's just a meeting we attend. I don't think we need to, but I don't see anything that needs changed. Looks pretty standard, like all the other Skrills meetings. So, but several topics on there to hit on that should be pretty interesting.
It should be. I think it'll be a good meeting. Commissioner French.
Yeah, I would agree with the comments that Commissioner Kearns made.
Okay. Very good. Well, maybe what we're gonna do, just so that way other department heads don't have any concerns, is we'll have Mark take a look at that and make sure that we're, whether we need to or not, based on the resolution. So, Mark, I will ask you to take a look at that so we can know going forward what we need to have approved and what we don't.
Thank you, Commissioner. Certainly.
Thank you. Okay, we can let Kathleen know that that's good to go. Any other miscellaneous items, Scott?
No, I don't think I have anything.
Any other miscellaneous items from the commissioners? Everyone shaking their head no? Okay, well, thank you very much. I will get these signed so we can get them off to everybody else. Appreciate everyone's time today, and it is 2:38. We are adjourned, and we will see you back next week with, I don't know that we get to be back in the conference room yet. The governor, I think, has to release that change, but we at least don't have to, mass will be off as of Monday or Saturday. So there we go. Excited.
I do believe at least one of the WASAC calls that was, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago or something. I think they had pointed out, so the governor has not repeat, or at least at the time has made no indication he's going to be removing his OPMA executive order. So I think even if we are in the conference, I think we're still required to have Zoom as an option either way for the public. So I think essentially that means we'd kind of be in like a hybrid mode from here on out if there's a majority of us in the conference room. But as far as I have heard, I don't believe the governor has removed the OPMA requirement. So I think Zoom at least is with us as an option or a tool that's required, at least for the time being. So.
And all we had seen was the mask removal, no other real changes.
So I think at this point in time, I guess that's what I was trying to say. We will not all be in the conference room together, but we at least will not have to wear masks in the conference room for those of us that are in here. So it is my understanding too that he has not changed any other resolutions at this point in time other than just the mask mandate.
Yeah. Which does lead me to Jared, do you have an update on our hearing room and the status of that? I know about 2 weeks ago, I peeked in through the windows up top to look down, and it was a mess. Like that, I mean, there are wires strung out everywhere.
But that's a good thing for this project.
Yeah, I mean, is it coming together?
It's coming together very nicely. In fact, we have the potential to be in there in a few months, but we are still missing some vital components such as amplifiers. I mean, the amplifiers that amplify the sound for the speakers, for instance. So what we're doing currently is finding out if there's things like the amplifiers that we can use in the interim. Maybe not so nice of amplifiers or mixers or whatever the case is, just kind of temporary solutions. So they're down there right now, in fact. So I was hoping to give you guys a surprise in the next week or two, but I still don't have a date, but things are looking good.
Jared, is it fair to say that there's two pieces of missing equipment, I believe, and everything else we feel, or the installers feel like it'll be in place end of May, perhaps? And then the question really is those two pieces of equipment, whether we can substitute something else while we're waiting for them to come in off of whatever ship they're on today.
I think that is a good assessment, but again, I didn't want to get everybody's hopes up because there's a lot of things that could happen in between now and May. But all indication looks like that they're doing good work to get us in the position where we could be in that room in May.
Well,
I have to preface everything with all those asterisks just because we really don't know when some of this equipment's coming in, and we don't know if the temporary solutions are even available. But we're optimistic.
I like your idea of trying to find something to just sort of bridge us until we get the actual piece of equipment. I mean, if there's a lower quality one that, you know, maybe doesn't sound as good or doesn't work quite as well, but gets the job done. I mean, I think that'd be great, but.
No, that's certainly what we're trying. We do have really good Zoom equipment in there. So not only will we be able to film and stream and record, but the Zoom equipment is higher quality than what we're using now.
Very good. Awesome.
They're high def cameras. We have 3 high def cameras in the courtroom for just Zoom.
Very good. Well, thank you for the update. Last chance for any other miscellaneous items? Seeing none, then now it is 2:43 and we are concluded and we will see everybody back next Monday. Thank you.